So I've got a question here from David Knowles. Thank you very much, David. Lucian Freud was said to regard Raphael as never becoming truly great. What's your view and why? Well, I don't like the word great much. It's sort of like 10 out of 10, or it implies that really interesting artists can somehow not be great, whereas greatness is something else that's other. And I prefer not to get into that. I think everyone's a human being and they're all fascinating in their own way. But I have to say, as far as I'm concerned, Raphael, of course he was truly great. Of course he was, just on the basis of the School of Athens. What an amazing picture the School of Athens is. It's the first ever true depiction of the idea of the way in which all human beings get knowledge from each other, pass it on, and it's about the progress of civilization. It's about how people have become the extraordinary species that we have become. And it's there in this amazing sort of semi-lunette shape, this assembly of people, each one imagined as the embodiment of a particular discipline or type of thought, whether it's geometry, whether it's philosophy. I just think it's utterly amazing, and I think it's had such a huge impact. I mean, it's no coincidence that Prince Albert, Victoria's consort, who was behind the whole South Kensington Museum complex, the V&A, the Natural History Museum and all that, what was his favourite painting in the world? It was the School of Athens. So if that painting, which made him do what he did, which has transformed this country, if that painting doesn't count as great, I don't know what counts as great. I have to add to that Lucian Freud, whom I used to know pretty well, was a very eccentric judge of other artists' work, as a lot of very interesting artists are. They're so obsessed with their own preoccupations. Maybe when he said that Raphael in his mind wasn't truly great, maybe it's because Lucian was so obsessed with becoming a new Rembrandt that he didn't want to look at Raphael, far too classical. And as I say, Lucian was very eccentric when it came to other artists' work. I remember once having lunch with him at the River Cafe in South London and Southwest London, and he sat over this very lovely dish of Italian food and told me how he'd just failed to purchase at auction a really fantastic painting by Géricault, one of my favourite French romantic artists, one of my greats. And he would have bought it for, I think, £2 million was where he stopped bidding. So Lucian was doing pretty well. And why did he want to buy it? He wanted to buy it, so he told me, he wanted to buy it so that he could paint over it, so that he could actually alter it and make it into a Lucian Freud. I thought, thank God you didn't do that. So, the origin of the question, Lucian, I think he was quite eccentric, as I say, and the question itself, I think ultimately, yes, you give it a minute's thought, but actually, yes, Raphael was fantastic.